executed. The strategy of employment of staff seems to be also perfectly thought. I'm very happy, and I like the aspect of attitude that you talked about, because it's a problem in most of our societies, developing countries. So it is good that you have that approach, and I think I also have some ideas about how it goes with recruitment. I think that's one of the main things, and as you said, you can't change that one. It's either somebody has it or somebody doesn't have it. Now, you also mentioned the aspect of not for profit. And this brings me to my next question, which is to find out, you are bringing all this first class, state of the art equipment, and you are also trying to recruit state of the art specialists to work in this hospital. The question that many people would like to ask is, is treatment going to be for free, or what's the strategy you have? Because also you have to pay your staff. So tell us how you're going to manage it, especially knowing that we are in an environment where there's rampant poverty, where not very many people can afford healthcare, and that even those who go abroad, only a few can even go abroad to do the treatment. So most of the patients seem to be condemned here. Now, what's your strategy to make sure that people can really have access to this treatment in your center?
Yeah, and I think it's very important, because many people who visit the hospital, they say, wow, this looks like a hospital for rich people, you know. But what I can tell you is that our plan, we want everybody to be treated in that hospital irrespective of ability to pay.
Okay.
That means that the treatment cost will range from 0 francs CFA to going market rates. So what you would find in any private clinic in Cameroon, yeah, in Yaoundé. And the way we plan to do that is, well, you are the economist, I'm not. But there's something you call economies of scale, you know, and we want to do high volume work. The more people you can treat and operate on, then the less your unit cost of production of treatment. So if I recruit a doctor and I'm paying him, say, 100 francs, now if he operates on one person in a month or treats one person in a month, then I have to that's the cost, and the patient has to bear that cost one way or the other. However, if I can bring him to treat 20 people, then the unit cost to the patient reduces, you know. So that's one thing. The second thing with high volume is that the more you perform, the more you treat, the more you work, the better you become at it.
Exactly.
Now, this is something we've learned from this hospital in India, Arabian Eye Hospital. Just to give you an idea, I was in India. I spent 15 months there at this Arabian hospital. And in that one hospital, the number of patients they operate on in 1 week is more than we operate on in Cameroon in 1 year. It's and because of that, they are able to bring down the cost to the patient, you know, very, very, very low. It's very well organized, very well structured. So that's the kind of efficiency we're trying to bring in. That's one part. The second thing is that when you leave Frankfurt to come to Yaoundé in Simalem, and you go to Lufthansa, well, not Lufthansa, it's Air France, and you get to the airport, they'll say, well, Dr. Njumesi, you have 5 options. You can either fly first class, you can fly business, you can fly economy, you can fly premium economy, and I think there's another one which is higher than first class, you know, and so you choose. Or closer to home, you go to Mvan and you say you want to go to Douala, and the agency will tell you, well, we have the standard rate buses, you have the VIP, you have the there's another one, Royal VIP or something, and so you choose. And it's the same. At the end of the day, when you are on Air France, it's the same team that is attending to you, the same captain, the same cabin crew. But
the result is the same.
And the result is the same in the sense that you get from A to B. The person in business his flight doesn't take 2 hours. That's right. So that's also something we're trying to see, that we're trying to bring in. So we call it a Robin Hood approach.
Okay.
You know, so whereby we charge those who can afford, yeah, a bit more, and then in return they get something
Quality,
more comfort, in terms of their stay in the hospital. In terms of another example, for instance, we have cataract surgery, simple cataract. So in terms of technology, you have extracapsular extraction, which is the old one, and then you have the small incision, and you have phacoemulsification. Now, the standard for us will be phacoemulsification. That's what we want to do. It costs a lot more, but it's much better. So, if you can afford phacoemulsification, you will not go for the SICS. And it's just like going to Air France. If you can really afford business, you will not go to economy. So that's what we are hoping to work on. So those are the two things. We have high volume, high quality, and cross-subsidization, using Robin Hood.
Approach. That's a good approach. Really, I'm personally very impressed by the approach you just explained, and I think it's just like in any social system where you try to, I would say, tax those who are richer to help those who are poor, and I think it boils down to helping everybody have a quality service, because as you said, taking first class and economy does not mean that anybody is going to arrive before the other person, and actually the security standards are the same for everybody. So I think it's a good approach. Now, I've been to the center, I've been there, I visited it because I was really interested to see what you are putting on the ground, and I must say that I was very impressed. But I was asking myself the following question: is it not a bit too out of Yaoundé? The accessibility issue. Are patients not going to say, why do I have to go so far away? I think it's 23 kilometers, or anyway, less than 25 kilometers from the central town. Is that not a problem? Did you think about it in your business model, in your business plan?
Yeah, your question is justified. Your question is justified. I mentioned earlier on that we have a lot of partners who are involved in this project. Now, if you look at the vision of the project, for that vision, we needed a lot of space, a lot of land. And in Yaoundé, it would have been impossible to find that land, within the city. And if you found it, it would have cost a lot of money. So when Dr. Akef Magrabi, Professor Itiale, and the International Council of Ophthalmology came to Cameroon in 2009 for the first time to present this idea to the Prime Minister of this country, he received them with open arms. And he said, well, what can I do for you? What can the Cameroon government do for you in return? And they said, well, we need land. And he said, okay, well, good. How much land do you need? So it turned out that so where we are constructing now is actually government land, which has been leased to us, renewable, and we have 5 hectares of land. So it means that we can expand, we can build, at will. We have the hospital building. Just the hospital alone is built on 5,000 square meters. Just the hospital building and accommodation. But then we plan to build an education center where you'll have an amphi, library, telemedicine center, things like that. Then we're planning to build accommodation because, like I said, we want to share the little we know with other people. Exactly. And you might have somebody coming from N'Djamena or from Bangui. You don't want them to be renting in Yaoundé and then, moving up and down. So, or even you have somebody from Camphomedics visiting Cameroon. You have an ophthalmologist, you have an anesthetist, you have a pediatrician, because all of those have a role to play in ophthalmology. Absolutely. And they want to teach us something new. They want to teach us something new in their specialty. We have 2 options. We put them up in a hotel in town, or we put them in this beautiful lush forest in a guest house. Yeah. So all of that, we needed all of that space, and it would have been difficult to do that in Yaoundé. So that's why we're there. Now, transportation is a real issue. I agree with you. So what we are looking at is we are trying to see how we can facilitate it in the beginning. we're planning to either buy or rent a minibus, which will be plying, the main, let's say from the hospital to Mokolo, every other hour to bus people in until the people get to know about it.
Exactly.
But I mean, that people have been leaving Yaoundé, I know many, to go to other parts of the country.
Yeah, that's true.
To Bafoussam, for example. There's a hospital there we all know, which they have been visiting.
Yeah.
Now, that is, Bafoussam is 300 kilometers from Yaoundé.
That's true.
And we are just 25 from the city center. So I think, so in the beginning it should be an issue, but I think with time, once people get to know about it, they should be fine. And also, I understand there are plans by the Cameroon government to improve on that road.
Okay.
So when that happens, and you shouldn't forget that even the expressway,
Okay.
the new Douala Yaoundé expressway is not far from the hospital. So accessibility will be easy. Yeah.
There's actually a saying in French that goes, "It's the patient who goes to the doctor." And the example of people going to Bafoussam and even further, like we have the heart surgery center in Chisong, that's a lot more far away from Yaoundé than that. And I mean, your vision is not only Cameroon, meaning that if people already go to places like Turkey, America to get good treatment, I think coming to Yaoundé would not be a problem for them. So, yeah, but we just thought it was important to ask you this question. You already mentioned a while ago the situation when you came to Cameroon for the first time, when you tried to work in Cameroon for the first time, which was, let us put it a bit more diplomatically, not really conducive, which still had a bit of homework, let me put it that way. Now, in realizing this project, you are certainly facing some difficulties, and can you give us some hinges? Can you tell us a bit about the difficulties that I can say you are surely facing during this the implementation of this project in Cameroon?
I think one of them is getting used to the way business is conducted in Cameroon, how business is done in Cameroon, at all levels, be it in the public sector or in the private sector. I mean, I think the audience of this interview would probably be primarily based in Germany. And when somebody tells you in Germany, we meet at 2 o'clock. Or he tells you, look, I'm going to complete this assignment by Friday, 6 p.m. And you don't need to follow up on him. It's done. And things are also very clear. But one of the main challenges has been the fact that my conception and my understanding of how business has to be conducted wasn't really what I found. So that's it. So it has to do, like I said, both in the public sector and in the private sector. So it has to do, for instance, with we have a lot of administrative red tape in Cameroon. The bureaucracy, the number of papers you need to submit to get certain documents approved, and things like that. And well, I wouldn't fault the Cameroon government. I think some of these laws and red tape came in because perhaps in the past they had, when it was a bit more relaxed, that perhaps they had a lot of some bad experience. Okay. So now they've kind of tightened things up. For instance, I mean, it took me more than 3 years to be recognized as a medical doctor. I was trained in Germany. I placed my application in January 2012, and it was only last year in October that I was recognized as a medical doctor in Cameroon. And it required a lot of follow-up and things like that. Especially, it was just a few months ago that I was recognized as an ophthalmologist in Cameroon. So as a medical doctor last year, as an ophthalmologist. But of course, I understand that the Ministry of Higher Education and other government offices really have to do their homework. They have to really ensure, because there have been a lot of fake diplomas. Yeah, so they have to really make sure that this person says he is who he really is, you know. So that's it. Then you have also people, they see this bush faller, like they say, who has come, and people see you as a milk cow everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and so that also makes life a bit difficult. They say, oh, this guy is in charge of this big project, he has a lot of money, or he's sitting on a lot of money, and we want to have our own share, you know. So you have that. So there are a lot of you know, challenges, but that's part of it. I mean, that's it. Yeah.